Yes. Close enough?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm going to set my alarm.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All set? Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, January 18th, and we welcome you to this regularly scheduled city council meeting. We'd like to call this meeting to order with my fancy new toy from my family for Christmas. Welcome. We're going to begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then if you will stay standing after the Pledge of Allegiance, we're going to have Pastor Joel Brandt from the Trinity Lutheran Church come up and give us our words of wisdom. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You can be seated. Please be seated.
Does that mean it's going to be really long?
No.
You didn't have a scroll.
Cut me off.
Thank you for coming.
Dear friends and neighbors, my tradition, along with others in the Christian community, celebrates this week as a time of prayer for Christian unity. It's an annual week, actually, January 18th to 25th, urging members of our churches and communities to work more closely together. This year, a theme scripture for our week of unity is from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 2, a verse from the story of the three wise men who came to Bethlehem at the birth of Jesus. We have seen his star in the east, they said, and we have come to pay him homage. That verse seeks to unite the Christian community around a central task of our faith, which is honoring Christ, that we might be a model for others in unity of purpose and togetherness in spirit. Additionally, this annual unifying week arrives just after the dawn of a new year, of course, with all of its hopes and possibilities too, for renewal, for restoration, for the newness of this council. We could note tonight also that we are just one day following a national holiday honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose life and work remind us that our faith, our story, and our future lie beyond the narrow confines of our own tribe and self-interest. Dr. King said, "We stand in the dimming light of yesterday's midnight. Our world's shrouded in darkness, but the darkness is interrupted by God's knock at the door of our lives." That knock is a call to each of us to reach forward and to grasp the light of a new day and a new year, and to recognize that our neighbor is also likewise grasping for that future. So perhaps we might be encouraged to grasp as well one another's hand and to seek the path forward together. That, at least, is my prayer for you tonight. So let us pray. O Lord, bless this council and each member who serves. Preserve them from rancor, from any fractious work, from weariness, from heartache. Strengthen their resolve to be a force for good, for harmony, for justice in our community. Lord, bless this community, the households and institutions, the schools and businesses, the homes and the residents who make Clawson home. Preserve us in peace. Protect us from storm and dis-ease. Teach us paths of collaboration. And grant us hope. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Blessings to you this night.
Pastor Brent, thank you so much for that. Those were surely inspirational words we could all use moving forward. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Milan.
I am here.
Councilmember Anderson is halfway here. For the sake of roll call, he counts as absent.
Present via electronic media.
So Councilmember Anderson can contribute to conversations, but he cannot vote tonight.
He has to say where he's calling it.
Doesn't matter. He can't vote. So it's just
Okay.
It's not like those old rules where we had to do that.
Okay. All right.
Councilmember Sampson.
Here.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Here.
Well, we do have a quorum, just barely.
Okay, we do. So the first thing on our agenda would be approval of the agenda.
I'm moving. The agenda be approved as presented.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I move that we amend the agenda to remove 8B.
Yes, we received a call today from the Charter Commission due to myriad of reasons. They're not able to be with us this evening to give the update that they had wanted to give, and also provide us an opportunity to get to know who's serving on that commission. So we are going to take them off the agenda this evening, and we will get them back on as quickly as we can.
Mayor, may I request that we remove number 16 as well?
Microphone.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We need 4 votes of 4 members, obviously, in order to go to closed session. There being only 3, we'll have to adjourn that and put it in another upcoming agenda.
So I'd like to add removal of 16 from the agenda to my motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Okay, great. Roll call, please.
Let's see, we're on Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Agenda is approved with the approved as amended.
Great, thank you. Next thing on the agenda would be public comment for items on the agenda. If you would like to come forth to the podium and you have anything you'd like to say regarding items that are on the agenda, please do so at this time. And if you do, please state your name and address for the record.
Hello. Kathy Phillips, 226 Hendrickson, and I'm sure all of you know why I'm here. I haven't been able to say it for a long time. 165 Hendrickson. We're tired of looking at it, so please get this passed tonight so that we can get this place torn down. It's been over 3 years, and I have no idea what's living in it right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea Hodges. I'm very pleased to see that there is a discussion about the general operating millage, but I feel like that council and the interim manager and the finance director are a little late to the game. Something of this magnitude deserves a lot more attention since it will be a new tax which will raise property taxes significantly for some. I am familiar with the process. I was on the Clausen School Board and we did a Headley override which took several meetings, workshops, and a citizens committee. This is something not to be rushed, and it seems that is exactly what is about to happen. There's a lot of work to go into a tax increase. You must convince the public it is their best interest. Or are you going to do what some are accusing Councilman Samson of, threatening of outsourcing and firing of employees? There is so much that needs to be discussed before you vote to initiate a new tax. This council and administration need to know how much things cost. For instance, the state of Michigan requires all municipalities to change out 5% of lead services per year. So how much did the city accomplish this year? What was the cost? And what will be the future expenses? Also, how many lead services are there in the city? Let's talk revenue. When was the last time the building fees, permit fees, and etc. have been looked at? Did you know that back in 2009, the council administration was supposed to fund a water meter replacement program? Because the water meters slow down as they age, which means less revenue for the city. They never did this. So how much do you think the city is losing in revenue from that? This council should discuss the difference between a 4-day work week and a 5-day work week. The city might be able to get more accomplished with less employees during a 5-day. Plus, get rid of the vacant parcels in the city. It would mean less time maintaining them. Outsourcing. The city already does this with dispatch, jail, animal control, cutting trees, and other things. Is it still feasible? Or should the city think of other things, like kiosks? Capital improvement plan. And I'm not talking about the planning commission part. The salt bin at the DPW. It's crumbling, and you're not allowed to fix that. You have to replace it per Eagle. Hunter Community Center is full of asbestos. The parking stinks. And what are the revenues versus expenses? Is it worth the upkeep? Or maybe we should move it back to City Hall. Renshaw Apartments, revenues versus expenses. Everything should be on the table and discussed. This city council needs to do their due diligence before asking the residents for more money. Also, how can you ask for a new tax when you haven't even received the audit? If you have no idea how much you have in the bank, especially since Yo and Yo stated they found misstatements which could be material and affect the city adversely. I hope you have workshops before you pass this new tax on the residents of Clawson. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Okay, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which would be consideration of approving the following consent agenda. Item A is minutes of the regular city council meeting held on Tuesday, January 4th, 2022, as presented. Item B is appointment of Daniel Yell to the Planning Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2024. Item C is a list of bills as presented in the amount of $477,176.55.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move that we move item 7B and 7C and put that into another location within the agenda. I'd say D and E under new business.
Did I hear you say C and D, or were you?
B and C.
Okay, we can do that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Roll call, please.
This is to,
Oh, yeah, so consideration of that, never mind. The consideration of approving the following consent agenda with item B and C being moved later into the.
okay, so
So
as
do you
amended.
accept it with those two?
So just A.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see where we're at. Mayor Milan.
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
great.
We are so changed.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda would be presentations and proclamations. Did I miss something?
We got to approve the minutes.
We did through the amendments on it.
Just do it? We just
What
did.
did you-
It said as amended to
Yeah.
only accept A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only,
So we're only accepting the minutes.
okay, just the wording.
Okay.
Glad you're here.
The next item would be presentations and proclamations. Is anyone here from, is there anyone here from Senator McMorrow's office for the legislative update?
Yes, I'm here,
she is.
Elizabeth.
Oh, hi, thank you. I wasn't
Hello.
looking there, I was looking this way.
Hello. Well, yes, I'll just jump into it. Just a short one. Thank you for letting me come in to speak to you guys. Legislature is back in session for 2022. We started last Wednesday, and then had session today, tomorrow, and Thursday. The House isn't in session. They have quite a bit of a COVID outbreak, but the Senate is in session. State of the State will be on January 26th, being held virtually by the governor. Time is to be determined and to be announced, but usually it's 7 p.m. based off previous years. From our office, Senator McMorrow, right before winter break, introduced Senate Bill 792 that would allow virtual meetings under the Open Meetings Act under a local state of emergency. The bill has been referred to the Senate Committee on Local Government and Municipal Finance, but has not had a hearing. Other news, our coffee hours are shifting just a little bit. We usually hold them every Friday, their session at 1 p.m. And we're just doing them earlier in the day at 10 a.m. So every week there is session. There will be coffee hours at 10 a.m. This week we are having a doctor from Beaumont come and join us for our coffee hour to speak a little bit about the current surge and a little bit on Omicron and what that variant is. Additionally, earlier this month, we had our quarterly meeting with mayors and managers of each city in our district. And this week, we'll be having our quarterly meeting with police and fire chiefs. So that's the brief update. If anyone has any questions, I will do my best to answer them.
Anyone have any questions? Does anyone out there have any questions? Since we have a captive audience. No, you are free. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for sharing with us what you're up to. We appreciate your hard work on our behalf and wish you a great evening.
Yes, thank you. You guys too.
Thank you. Okay, so we eliminated the Charter Commission update for the evening, so we're going to go past that one, and we're going to move on. We have no public hearings. The next item will be new business, and the first item under our new business tonight is consideration of approving the land division request to split the property commonly known as 620 South Main Street, parcel ID number 25-04-277-052, into two parcels by splitting the east end of the parcel. The proposed lot being split is located in the single-family residential R1 district, while the remaining parcel is located in the business renewal district, BRD1. Is there anyone here who wants to speak on this? Joe?
Hi, I'm Joe Tangary from Giffords Webster. I'm one of the city planners. And I did do a review of this lot split for council. It's actually the third time I've looked at it because it's been to both the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Commission. So a little bit of history on this. Back in 2019, there were 3 lots here, including the one that's proposed to be split off, and they were combined. The one that's proposed to split off was inadvertently combined with the other 2. It was included in the property description, so they were all combined together when it was recorded with the county. The applicant realized that this had happened and is trying to sell that portion that's zoned R1 to someone who wants to build a home on it, and is now obviously trying to split it. So in order to split it back off, it needed variances to revert to its original size because it doesn't meet the current lot width and area standards of our zoning ordinance. And the Zoning Board of Appeals did grant those variances back in December. They did put one condition on their granting of that variance. They required that the screening device between the BRD1 district and the R1 district be put in place. Now, typically, our zoning ordinance requires a masonry wall. However, the Planning Commission is given the authority to waive or modify the masonry wall standard to something else. And in this case, the applicant came to the Planning Commission asking to put in a vinyl fence, a white vinyl fence, that matches the white vinyl fence that separates the residential lot to the south from the BRD1 district. The Planning Commission did approve that fence, so he has that approval for the fence in hand, and now he's here asking for approval of the lot split. So if you have any questions, I can certainly answer them. And of course, I believe he's attending as well. So I think he might be attending remotely. Yeah, if there are any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
I got a question. That split, does that put a residential property on Main Street?
No. The portion that's fronts on Main Street will remain zoned BRD1. And the portion that's going to be split off is the very western end that fronts on Tecumseh. So there's the portion that's zoned BRD1 will have frontage on both Main Street and Tecumseh. There's an alley that's kind of part of this property that comes out onto Tecumseh, but then at the very western end is where this residential lot is. And it's got R1 zoning. The rest of the property has BRD1 zoning.
So it'd be two clean properties, one residential, one BRD1.
Right, exactly, yeah. Each property would have one zoning rather than the single property with 2.
You had a lot of discussion on that in the Planning Commission meeting last week.
We did, yes.
On the fence or the split?
On the fence, yeah, on the fence.
So the original residential lot, was it as one and then somehow got combined as 2? Or how did
There were originally 2 residential lots there. One of those older residential lots has the BRD1 zoning now. When the BRD1 district was put in place, that was made BRD1.
Okay.
But yeah, the one that he wants to split off is the original platted lot.
Okay.
And then the other original platted lot will remain part of the parcel that fronts over on Main.
So what is the calculation for what the lot size needs to be?
So the variances that they got from the Zoning Board of Appeals were an 8-foot variance from the required 50-foot lot width to permit a 42-foot lot.
Okay.
Most of the lots on the street on the south side are 42 feet. And then the other variance was 880 square feet from the required lot size of 5,500 square feet, and that was to permit a lot that is 4,620 square feet.
Okay, so no other variance as far as setbacks or?
No, they're going to try to make the house actually fit on the lot within the setbacks.
Okay. And you said that the properties on that south side were 42 traditionally, 40, 42?
Yeah, the south side, there are a couple double lots, but the south side is all 42-foot lots.
Okay.
The north side is 50s.
Okay.
And the lots to the south that front on the next street are all 42.
Okay.
I looked at you. You spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah, I did. I have other questions, but we started going down the road of planning, and I don't want to do that. The only thing I wanted to just bring up again is the ordinance we have in place, why it's here, and why we had to go through, or the applicant had to go through the
Right.
process. Obviously, there was some joining of the properties at some point in time. I think is an honest, error
Yeah.
or omission. Those are narrow lots. I certainly like our ordinance at 50. If you were to take a look, and it doesn't qualify as a large lot,
Right.
because it's in two different zones, and then if you were to do that, you would still say that that property that's getting split off would meet the mean calculation for the rest of that. So it's not as if you're now taking that parcel and making it even smaller compared to the rest of the parcels that are in that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not as though you're taking you're making a new parcel on a lot with 42, or a street with 42-foot lots and making it 38 feet
Exactly.
or something, yeah.
Are we good with changing the fence? Everybody else is required to use that fence.
I mean, I think they did discuss this a long time, and it was a
Yeah.
concern. I had a concern about it years ago. I think there's other parcels that have screen fences that had been allowed to put up vinyl. Most notably, I believe Clausen Manor has vinyl fencing. But I think that's more the scope and the way that it meshed with the property. I want to say Tribal Fair may have had something similar. There's something unique to that too, where they're seeking at variance. But as long as it's maintained, I don't have a problem with it. That's the key, right? So, because you've got, it's high traffic from Barb's, but Barb's has its own
Right.
egress entrance to the parking lot from Tecumseh, and then there's the alleyway, if I remember right, and then the
Yeah.
parcel. So,
Yeah.
but the alleyway is part of the joining of the BRD1 parcels and not part of this, right? So as long as, the parking that's in that section, I don't know if you haven't looked at site plans for that, right?
No, they don't have a site plan in. If they ever do come in with a site plan in the future, I know there's not a plan to in the next few years. But if somebody does come in with a site plan in the future, and they're putting parking there or something, at that time you could always have them
Bumper
upgrade
blocks.
to a masonry wall.
Change it back to a wall at that
You
point.
could always go to a wall, yeah, at that point.
So
yeah.
it's
Yep.
not set in stone.
Exactly.
Pardon the pun.
Well put.
Hello, this is Mark DeZerman, the applicant.
Tim.
Good
Mark.
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First of all, I wanted to thank Joe for the summary. I just wanted to let you know I'm here. I am on the call or in the meeting remotely. If you have any questions of me, I would be glad to answer them.
I'm satisfied.
So bye.
We have no questions. Thank you for being present.
Okay.
All right. Madam Mayor, I move the proposed land division request to split the property commonly known as 620 South Main Street, parcel ID number 25-04-277-052, into two parcels be approved in accordance to the attached support documentation and drawings.
I'll support that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sampson?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Passes.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is consideration of the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to govern rental units and inspections, to provide specific guidelines for same and enact sanctions for violations therein. Someone like to make a motion?
Yep, Madam Mayor, sorry. Madam Mayor, I move the ordinance to govern rental units and inspections, to provide specific guidelines for same and enact sanctions for violations therein, be introduced and entered into first reading.
Great. So I have a couple questions.
I'll support that.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm ahead of the game here. I don't want to forget my questions. Is this our first rental unit?
It is.
That's what I thought. So I had sent you an email earlier today, and I'm going to just say it all out loud because I think other people may have similar concerns to me. We're having more and more concerns with people who are renting out properties, right? Whether it be, I know it's a different property type, say if it's an Airbnb, right? So do we include something like that in something like this? But I have another one, which is people who rent out their homes. I've spoken with other communities about this because I'm personally interested in this topic. And other communities have regulations that might have to do with parking or also with governing taxing and such because it's an income generating property. And I know in your email response to me today, which was very brief, it stated it would be really difficult to enforce. And I know there are a lot of things that we have on the books that are difficult to enforce, but they're worthwhile having on the books because if certain things dissuade people from engaging in activity, we win, right? If everyone's not afraid of the man coming after them or whatever. Some people are afraid of the man, so they're just not going to do something that's potentially wrong. So I have no problems with what was written here, but I would like it to be broader, and I would like you to go out and look at those items to bring back and incorporate either in this or in a separate document that also addresses both of those. I know some communities referred to it as, oh my gosh, I want to just harken back to some Western movie and tell you what it's called, a boarding house, right? If you live in the home and you rent out rooms, it can be referred to as a boarding house, which just makes me think I'm watching an old Western. But I can think of a couple locations in the community that have this situation, and I think people have different proclivities in how they want to live, but we have limited land, we have limited parking issues, and we have other concerns, and I just would like to look out for the integrity of our neighborhoods. So if you could work on something like that, I would really appreciate it.
No, absolutely. And I think my answer to your email was, brief and to the point because you related specifically to at least as I understood your question, it related specifically to somebody renting out a room, and it's that renting out of a single room in somebody's house, that portion of it as it relates to this particular proposed ordinance, I do think it would be difficult, but I agree with you that it doesn't matter that enforcement may be difficult or taxing. We can nonetheless have it on the books. This is, as far as I'm concerned, and my thoughts on the matter. This is an opening salvo. I thought this was important to be the first step because this is the licensing, so to speak, and our ability to do inspections that we don't currently have, and a lot of people in our community have requested this over time. And I think, the way I would propose to do it is to have additional ordinances that follow this particular ordinance, have this on our books, and then build from this, from the inspection ground up, adding additional stuff. The rental, I'm going to call it a scheme, it's not a scheme, but the rental ordinance scheme that is out there, as you can imagine, just goes a gamut as far as from community to community, from city to city. Detroit controls lead when it comes to rentals, for example. There's all sorts of things we can do. I think this is an important first step. I'm hoping that we can begin here, and then I'll take any and all recommendations. I'll go obviously scan all the communities, bring forth meeting after meeting. Obviously, we don't want to inundate one specific ordinance because this went from letter A to almost to X or Y or something like that as far as the line items. But my hope is to be able to bring you back something every meeting to start building upon this particular, because it is important in this community because we do have a lot of rentals.
My concern is not someone who rents a room. Like, if you have a friend that's living with you and you're splitting rent or whatever, I don't have a problem with that. I'm speaking excess, right, where there are multiple, and it's like a college town. This isn't a college town.
Right.
I think we don't want it to be that, but sometimes there's just extenuating circumstances where something's just excessive and it just changes the tone of a neighborhood, and we might need to get ahead of that.
Absolutely. I agree.
Thank you.
When you wrote this, are you looking for an occupancy permit for, say it's a duplex, is that one or is that two?
So here we speak about 1 and 2,
So how about the buildings that have 16?
Yeah, it covers all those. It covers the gamut.
Will that person have to pay 16 times whatever the fee is, or one time?
Now, the
one building?
fees are out of this specific ordinance. Those we're going to govern by resolution. Once you approve this, we're going to come back with, the forms and everything else for you to take a look at and then determine what those fees are. So I didn't put them in this particular ordinance.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense to do it that way.
So you'll have a schedule of what those
Correct.
fees will be?
Yeah.
Okay. There had been some legislation that had been proposed, I don't know where it was, on short-term rentals.
Yes. There's a lot of, as you can imagine, there's a lot of ordinances, a lot of legislation, and cities have gone all sorts of different ways. And I think one of the reasons that I wanted to parse it out is I don't know your minds with respect to, when it comes to rentals.
Mm-hmm.
And if we throw too much in one ordinance, we're going to end up defeating, something good for the sake of something great on account of somebody objecting to one particular small aspect of this ordinance. I didn't want that to occur. I think this is important. In my mind, it's a proposed ordinance. Obviously, this will bear, it's your ordinance. If there's any amendments or anything that you see fit to change here, obviously happy to do it and bring it back to you. But if you do not, if you think this is a good first step, let's vote on this, and then I come back at the next meeting. As we do the second reading of this, I'll give you another proposed ordinance that follows this as far as rentals are concerned.
But in that state legislation, was it passed, and is there anything in their language that has this?
Not this.
Type of, okay.
Not this.
Can we make a motion now?
I already made a motion.
Did make the motion, so roll
Roll
call.
call.
I did that. Yep.
Councilmember Anderson, do you have anything you'd like to add to this topic of conversation? We kind of left you hanging out there.
No, I'm satisfied with what I've heard.
Okay. Well, unsatisfied customer, please mark that down, everybody. And we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Councilman Shepherd.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Okay, we look forward to seeing we'll see this again in a couple weeks and then see how it grows, right? So the next item on our agenda, someone in the audience is going to be extremely ecstatic to hear. We're going to consideration of approving the authorization request by Attorney Kevin McGinnis to demolish 165 Hendrickson. You think I'd know that number too, just from hearing it for all these years. The city of Clawson will provide payment up front for the demolition of the property, with the property owner being billed once the demolition is complete.
That is correct. So the entire cost to demolish the house for the cut tap water sewage, disconnect gas electric, the permits, do the backfill with fresh dirt soil coming in, as well as mulch on top to make it look like a fresh, clean lot, also to knock down the garage and the driveway. So again, at the end of the day, we're left with just a nice, clean-looking, fresh lot that hopefully all the little animals and deers that I have in my yard like to go and visit as well. The total cost of that is $24,696. Upon completion, we'll have to pay half up front, second balance upon completion. Once it's done, the homeowner will have 60 days to either reimburse us or else it gets applied to the tax rolls, along with any costs, attorney fees, anything else associated with that. So if he does not pay us back immediately as a reimbursement, we'll be able to follow the process to still get our money back fully for the city. And then there's a penalty to him to do that. And so,
Who cuts the grass?
Hold on a second.
what's that?
Who cuts the grass in summer?
Who cuts it in the summer? He's gonna have to still maintain it. So again, at the end of the day, if we still run the situation where he's not maintaining the property, it's like any other property that we have here in the city. So we're still gonna have to we'll levy fines, we'll do what we need to do to get to that point. But at least at this stage, we'll at least be left with a lot that's not a home with critters and whatever else might be inhabiting it at this point.
Let's do a quick timeout and someone make the motion that we didn't make.
Okay. I move the
Then pick
request by Attorney Kevin McGinnis be approved in the amount of $24,696, as the city will bill the property owner for the once the demolition of 165 Hendricks is completed. And that's for Kathy.
So, anyone have any questions other than, that seems pretty easy?
Yeah. And I strongly suggest we admit that, we accept this. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure Ms. Phillips will be at my house every single day after this, so.
You won't need to demolish it, she'll do it for you.
She'll do it for us, right?
With a look.
And you get to keep the animals.
That's right.
That's a good question. When we knock that building down, them animals are taken off somewhere.
They're going somewhere, so, yeah, so.
Are we doing any rodent control or anything?
That'll be another thing, so we'll speak to Mr. Cervello on how we should handle that, so.
That should all be built into the bid of the demolition crew. That's
Yeah.
all their process. They come in, go inside, look at clear, obviously, for safety
They do.
issues and take it all down. That's all on their bid.
Yes.
Their liability issues.
That's correct.
Lock your door, Kathy. Lock your doors.
For clearing the land for any invasive species or any unwanted plant material, is that something that the new owner would need to do or the city would need to try and identify and maintain?
If we want to look for anything, I did not request any looking for invasive species. So right now, it's just whatever exists on the property right now.
Okay.
So this company would just come in, they've worked for a number of municipalities to demolish homes.
Okay.
And so they'll just come in, they'll knock down the home, they'll remove the debris, they'll put in fresh soil and dirt in the backfill.
Okay.
And then fresh seed and mulch on top.
Okay.
Just to keep it as a fresh kind of look. If we have additional issues for invasive species, and I think we're gonna have to look at how we treat that, I guess, for any property in our city,
Sure.
how we handle that, so.
Okay.
If no more questions, let's have a roll call.
Mayor Milan?
Yes, oh, sorry, Councilwoman Anderson, did you have anything you wanted to add in this?
Oh,
I'll take that as a no. Okay.
okay. Mayor Milan?
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you very
Thank you.
much for your time.
Thank you.
Kathy didn't jump for joy.
Won't be happy until it's gone.
Okay, where were we adding our other?
We're adding,
two items?
D to
D was
Danielle,
Dan.
Planning Commission.
Okay. Then we are going to go to item D, which is the appointment of Daniel Yell to the Planning Commission for a term to expire December 31st, 2024. I know two of us have served on the Planning Commission with Dan for probably more years than I. He forgot to add that to his application, that he actually served on the Planning Commission. I don't know if he was blocked those years out or just didn't think it was important, but I personally would like to see him placed back on the Planning Commission. He has a very good wealth of knowledge. He has owned a couple homes here and businesses in town, has a good, fresh perspective, and I would encourage you to approve his nomination this evening.
Madam Mayor, I move to appoint Mr. Daniel Yell to the Planning Commission for a term to expire December 31st, 2024.
I'll support that.
Great.
And I echo your sentiments. Having served with him, I want to say it was 2011, 2012, and the time that he was on, the perspective that he brought, especially being a business owner, was critical to some of our decisions that we made.
I agree. He taught me a lot, right, just from that, looking at things from a different perspective. So congratulations, Dan, we welcome you back. Oh, wait, we have to vote.
After we
But
vote.
hey, congratulations, Dan, we're going to welcome you back.
Councilmember Sampson?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Now commence with the congratulations.
Congratulations again. It's going to be like, wait, what's this about? Maybe I don't want to do this after all. You seem a little encouraging. The next thing we're going to talk about is a list of bills as presented in the amount of $477,176.55.
All right. Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the list of bills as presented in the amount of $477,176.55.
Will support that.
If I may. I just, one thing that I saw previously, and this is just me getting up to speed on bills and how they're presented, the IWC charge, I did not see on this, and I didn't see it on the previous one. I'm curious, how often does that appear on the bills, and how does it, what's the timeframe on which it's coming in front of us?
I don't know how often. I'd have to research that. Kelly, do you have an answer to that on frequency?
Those bills are received monthly. Once they are received, they're input into the accounts payable system, goes through the approval process, and a check or ACH payment is cut.
Okay, so how is that then presented to us? How is it listed? I did not see it on the last one nor on this one.
I would have to go back and see when the last payment was made and when the next payment is due. So,
If we're talking, I wouldn't have talked about this otherwise, but I am curious. There was a charge for a former employee. Apparently it's a payout or something. But I noticed they were on other bills as well. I wasn't part of council when that determination was made. Were there many? Are they ongoing? Is that the final one?
I believe the January payment was the final payment.
We talk about Matt Hodges here for $38,000. Is that the last one?
Yes.
That was the agreement.
That was the agreement, yeah.
I wasn't part of the agreement.
No, I
I was
understood.
just curious because I remember
were
seeing it on
three
previous
payments.
ones, and I was like, how many are there? Is it ongoing?
No,
Just what the process
There
is.
were 3 payments, 2 to Mr. Hodges and 1 to the attorney.
Well, it was one lump sum payment. They opted to split it into the payment for his attorney, which came out of the settlement with the city, and then he opted to split the balance of the into 2 payments. So it was total 3 payments. This one was the last one.
Hodges and the attorney are all paid up to date.
Correct. I believe
All right.
this is the last one.
Thank you. I was just curious on that. Anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay.
I'll get you additional information on the IWC.
Roll call, please.
I believe it's Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson?
Yes.
great.
Pay the bills.
Okay, so under old unfinished business, we have discussion of the general operating millage ballot question for the May 2022 special election ballot, which has a February 8th, 2022 deadline. Ms. Hodges brought this up when she gave her public comments in the beginning, and I would just like to state that this is a topic that was discussed repeatedly back in July. I believe there was a presentation from, I never remember their names.
There was a couple.
There was a
specific one
professional
was
presentation.
here, yeah.
Miller
by-
Canfield.
Okay, by Miller Canfield. There was a presentation by our then city manager, Mike Smith. And I think there might have been 3. I remember there was one while I was on council, and then there were some subsequent. So council, I don't know if you're involved in any of these conversations or not. I think all of us were involved at some point in the idea that we had don't get me wrong, I hate numbers, right? 3.6892, we had a 3.6892 millage that was falling off, or would be falling off, and is falling off like now, or just fell off. So the question is, we use that money, or the statement is, we utilize that money in our funds, right? That's like essential money for the operations that we have. In the presentations we had, of course, the comments were, should we not try and recoup these funds? We will be at risk of shortening our staff, eliminating some of our services, and these dollars are just critical to what we do on a day-to-day basis. Those were the presentations that we were given. So the conversations that took place in all of those presentations were, do we go out for another bond, which at this point we would have to go out for a new one. It would not be a renewal. The language would have to say that it is a new additional millage because that one had expired. So we have a choice. We can go up to 15 mills in our community mandated by our charter. So the question is, do we want to do that? And then at what value would we want to assign to do that? So that's all I'm going to say because I probably just confused you all, but I think I got those details pretty correct. So I'm assuming someone here has better details. But the important thing is, if we want to get this on the ballot in May, we would have to have our language in by February 8th. 2022, that would be the deadline for that. And while what Mrs. Hodges said is very valid, we do have a lot of concerns. There are a lot of ways we could look at our budget, try and establish where we're spending our funds, how we should spend them, where we want to focus our budgeting moving forward. There's also some validity to the fact that we're used to these dollars, right? So eliminating them altogether is probably not the best option that we have, and we absolutely have to look at moving forward how we want to address this. So not my presentation. I don't know who's prepared to speak on this any further, or if you guys just have comments, you'd just like to add something to it.
I'll set a special meeting up for the 27th.
Okay.
And then ask all the questions and make it a special meeting, then we can vote at the end of it. But let's do it at a workshop where Mrs. Hodges, them type of questions can be answered. We can get them all to Kelly, and she can go through the thing. These letters that you sent, these letters I sent you this morning,
Wait, let's stick to one thing at a time.
Well, no, that's part of it. That's 3 rejections from the state.
No, let's resolve this, and then you can bring that up if you'd like to, because it is really a separate issue.
We need to know what the audit came out. We need to know how much money we really have. We need all that by the 27th.
We would like all of that by the 27th. We actually don't need all of that by the 27th because council was ready to, I don't know why, I can't speak for why council addressed this so much in August, July, and whenever else it got addressed last year, and then just let it drop, right? If it was critical, and it is critical, a lot of attention was drawn to it, and then no decisions were made.
Council never dropped it. We never got the information. We need to get all that on the 27th. Maybe go back over the
The
minutes.
27th is not that far away, and that is a lot of information that you're asking for. I don't know if that can be done or not. We can ask our city manager to speak to our finance director and see what information can be pulled together in that amount of time. I'm all for full disclosure of how we're spending money and what our goals are. We're not even into really budgeting yet, so we don't even know what the needs are coming up. But it's critical to say the city relies on this money. It has relied on this money, and eliminating it altogether could be devastating. But we also do need a plan, so I will go with we need a plan.
So the workshop for the 27th?
Do we all agree?
I'm not sure if I'm available on the 27th. I don't know about anybody else. Why don't we throw a couple of dates out there and see what we can come up with? But
Remember, I can't do anything from 23rd through the 26th.
So we need key staff to be part of that. I would want to make sure staff is available on such a date as well, not just throw one out there.
31st?
What's the date?
31st is a Monday.
27th is a Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
28 closed, right, so.
And then we have a meeting on Tuesday, so if we have a workshop on a Monday, that gives no time to act from the workshop before our meeting, which would be the next day. So that's not really great planning as far as getting information, putting information out and then asking for information to come back. We wouldn't really have time to get information back.
You can do it on the 28th?
We can do
I mean,
that.
offices are closed, but we'd have to.
I'd rather do it I would rather not have staff come in on a Friday, so let's say the 27th, and I'll just have to figure out. If I can't do it, then I just can't do it. I'm
Do you
going to
want
have
a
out of
motion?
town.
You want a motion?
It's, I move that we have a workshop to discuss the general operating millage for January 27th.
Support that.
1,900 hours, 1,930 hours?
1930 works for me.
Okay, so what's that in English? 7:30?
7:30.
Do you know what we're asking? Who's going to put together the information that we're going to be asking for?
They can put together what they're asking for. They gave us 3 scenarios at one time. Full millage, no millage, or partial millage. Have them give us some scenarios of what the 3.
Yeah, but the question is not what the 3 is. Like, I have that information, I can tell you what that is, but that's not the question that was just posed. The question that was posed was, what are we spending the money on and what do we need, right? So
Yeah.
that's not going to tell us
Well,
what we need.
At the end, what
That
we
just
need,
tells us
that'd be,
what it's going to cost.
no, it'd be, do we go for a full millage? And that's just
That's an
free
option.
reign, yep. No millage, that would
That's an
devastate
option.
us. And a partial millage would be, we got to have at least this much to continue.
Mm-hmm.
Would you understand that?
Right, yeah, that's, on December 10th, I'd sent an email on my Friday report requesting that
Yeah,
we
just-
workshop this
Okay.
and prioritize it, and that was a month ago. So now we're into the timeframe. Yes, we can work on that. I'll see what department heads are available a week out, but be some work for Kelly. She is wrapping up the audit with Yo and Yo as well, so, and they should, hopefully, that is supposed to be closed by, Yo and Yo should be completed by next week to move forward with, then we can, which is be another topic, our completion of it, so.
Okay, let's just try, and if it doesn't work, just come back and say it's not working, and we'll go with something else. Let's just keep it that simple, right? We'll go for the 27th. If staff's not available, if you don't have time to put together the information by then, we'll pivot to another date and make this happen.
Well, we're running into a timeframe, so, I mean, we will have some information obviously available.
Yeah,
on that
obviously.
and some Q&A.
Roll call, please.
Did you call that a workshop or a special meeting?
Workshop.
A workshop. Mayor Milan.
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
That passes.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor, that does allow, the deadline's the 8th, and it is not unprecedented to call a special meeting. You don't have to make this decision on the 1st at that
Right.
first meeting. You could call another meeting. So there is a little bit more time
I understand.
than crushing it on the 1st. Just keep that in mind.
I just hate pulling people together for extra if we don't have to. If we can address things under normal circumstances, I prefer to do that. You know, staff is kind of pressed for their time already, and as all of us are as well, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So the next item on the agenda was discussion of council training and information sessions, and I guess, given the fact that we are going to have 2 meetings this week with candidates, and then we're going to set up this special meeting on the 27th, which will probably result in the need for another meeting. I wanted to put something on a calendar, which is what I really wanted to do today, but I'm kind of hesitant to do that because I feel like the calendar might be taking over really quickly because even the city manager thing is going to require probably another meeting. So I'm going to, if we'd like to discuss this, we can, but I'm just going to say, I think we're just going to have to hold it off just a little bit longer. But I would like to state that this is something critical that we need to address, just like this millage thing that we need to address. I feel like we've tread a lot of water in the past 2 months that we've been doing this, and we have a lot of serious issues we have to attend to. None as important as our ability to work together and fall within the parameters of what we're supposed to be doing in that. So this is extremely important to me. I'm conceding to it today just because the calendar only allows for so many opportunities. So,
We can stay right there under unfinished business for next time.
yeah, but that's just, I don't know, it's not getting anything done, so. But that's what we're gonna do, because we don't have a choice, right? So next up would be public comments for items not on the agenda. If you are present and would like to share something with the council, feel free to come on up. State your name and your address if you would, please.
Hello, Happy New Year. My name is Jan Bills, and I live on Grant Avenue. And I do have a couple, I know that our attorney cannot answer these questions, but I want to just make sure that they're on the record. So my first question or statement would be about George's lawsuit. So I guess I'm wondering first if an attorney from our insurance has been assigned, and if yet, I know there's 21 days for them to, or for us to give our answer, so has any of that happened yet?
I will address that under my report, the city manager's report.
Okay.
I do have that as a topic to address.
Okay, excellent. Now, I do have another question. So initially, when this all came about, I know that Attorney Nusha, you had, I kind of got the impression that you thought it going to circuit court was going to be the best resolution. But now I'm wondering, what if it isn't resolved quickly? What if this happens to go to trial? What if all those things come about? Then we're going to have this deadlock council. And so how does that look for the residents? If nothing, all these things that we're talking about, and because none of it gets resolved, how does that fall on the residents? So is there a plan if this lawsuit goes on and on to fill that other seat so that we can have a full council? So I know you can't answer, and I don't expect you to have the answers right now, but I think it's something that we do have to consider, because lawsuits could go on for years with no resolution. Now, I got the impression that you thought it would be resolved quickly. So,
I'm happy to address it.
okay, excellent.
I'm happy to address portions of it anyways.
Okay, and then, so my other question is about this lawsuit. If it does go on and it starts, I know we have counsel that we pay, and we're not paying them hourly like a normal attorney would be paid, but at some point, you know, we had a lawsuit a couple years ago, we have another lawsuit. At some point, don't our premiums go up when we have claims? So my question is that if our premiums do go up because we have yet another lawsuit in Clausen, would we file a counterclaim or a counter complaint to try to get those attorney fees back? So just another question I have, because, you know, if the lawsuit is proven to be frivolous and it had no basis, we still have to bear the cost. We meaning the residents. So that's some of my concerns with regard to that. So now, with regard to the Samson recall, once we secure the required signatures for a recall, I don't know if you're going to address that or if you can address that tonight in your attorney point. What would, in your attorney comments, what would our next steps be? So residents are wondering what next. We have the required signatures. What happens next? Okay, and then I just want to lastly, I just really want to give an acknowledgement to our Madam Mayor. It has been, despite all the confusion, I just want to say that we appreciate your professionalism, your calmness. I think it's very apparent to residents that Councilperson Anderson and you really have the best interest. And you know, you guys have been through a lot early on, but we really appreciate how you're handling things. So thank you, and also thank you to Councilperson Anderson.
Thank you
So
very
with
much.
that, I'm all done.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Okay, going once, going twice. All right, that will end our public comments for the evening. Next up is our city attorney's report. I think we just added to that.
We did. May we request that perhaps it may make sense for Mr. Cervello to go off, Chief Cervello to go first, because he will be addressing a lot of those points that the gentlelady raised.
Sure, I have no problem with that. Chief
Okay.
Cervello?
Just in case there's more follow-up, then the attorney can follow up. So we did receive a letter from MMRMA, Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, denying the fact that they will represent the city in the lawsuit. So I did reach out to Mr. McGinnis this morning, so there would be no stalling in the process, and asked him to take a look at this and to continue moving this forward. We need representation. In this case, the city has been served, and by MMRMA denying the option at this point, And there's a letter associated with why they don't cover this type of a lawsuit. I've asked Mr. McGinnis if you have questions, he can probably give a brief on it, but obviously not going into great detail. But he might be able to help with his timeline and his response time. So with that, we had to move forward and we could not leave it unattended.
Actually, that makes sense. Kevin, would you mind, that way you can address the 21 days, because I think that's an appropriate.
So it kind of helps with the timeline on the questions and kind of gives a little guidance on what his law firm can do in a response.
Yes, thank you. And so, so the city was served. I spoke with Mr. Cervello this morning. I had already previously spoken to Mr. Nushai as well. So I reached out today to opposing counsel. There's normally a 21-day schedule to file an answer, but I've already responded to and talked to opposing counsel, so they're giving us an extension to be able to file that response. So they're giving us as much time as we need, but I plan on filing a response in the next day or two, so we can just keep the process moving forward. And so now that I have that, when it comes to the details of counterclaims or some additional details with the legal strategy, I've already spoken a little bit with Mr. Cervello. We'll go into a little more detail of what we think the appropriate legal strategy is to defend this action. Again, the idea is to do it as efficiently and as judiciously as possible. Again, I think I've met a lot of people here. I'm also a resident of the city of Clawson, so it's in my interest as well to make sure that this goes forward as kind of quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. And so I plan on being here and putting in for at least a closed session next council meeting, so this way I can talk about the specific legal details and the attorney-client privilege stuff that I won't be able to specifically say out loud, but I'll be able to give at least a general update at the same time for any of the residents that want to know a general update.
So may I say something?
Sure.
Even though it's not. So what I heard you say is now we're not represented by the council that we have, right? They denied us. So then we are going to have to pay your law firm.
That is correct.
And even additional costs. So back to my question, at some point, will we address that?
100%, we address that in every single case that we do. And so whenever I do, any representation I do for the city of Clawson, as they know as well, I do as a discounted rate on my fees as well. So it's just because, again, I'm a resident of the city of Clawson, so I, again, try to do this as efficiently as possible. When it comes to trying to recoup attorney fees, that's always part of our strategy going forward, especially if a suit is considered to be a frivolous suit. It is often difficult to recover attorney fees under just our general system here in the United States, that's its own discussion, but it's definitely something that we absolutely look at what are our avenues to be able to best defend not just the action against us, but what do we have to be able to defend, or also to be as aggressive as we need to be as a city while doing it in an appropriate way that makes sense.
So it definitely poses a hardship on the residents, for sure. But I did have another question. So what are we going to do? Are we going to start thinking that if this thing continues, how are we going to fill this seat? Or are we just not going to? It seems very unfair that nothing will be, there will be no fourth or fifth seat sitting up there.
Well, at this point, I think we'll see how fast it's moves through the court system. Obviously, with the denial from MMRMA and retaining Mr. McGinnis at this point, it keeps things moving. As far as the time frame, I can't tell you, but it is in the court system, so, I mean, it does have to play out there for now.
Right, but I'm just
I don't know
wondering,
how
are
long.
we thinking what if? Are we at least thinking what if?
So that we don't continue in the conversation, unfortunately, there are answers that we just simply cannot give. Kevin, I wonder if you would address a simple question that I would have that I've uttered here before, and I wonder if you think, if you agree with me. This being a DAC action, declaratory judgment action, seeking just a declaratory judgment, not money damages per se. Would you agree with me that it probably will move quicker as opposed to your usual case, 2-year timeline?
That is absolutely correct. And that's where we kind of look into the strategy of what are we going to do back and forth, because anything we do on our end, we don't want to slow down. I don't want to slow down the process. And so what he's seeking in this type of action generally tends to move on a much faster timeline than a general civil action. But you're right.
Generally hasn't really played out well in lawsuits, so, you always have to think, what if?
I completely understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since we're asking questions, can I ask one? I
You started it.
understand, according
You
to
control
Mr.
it.
Sampson,
I'm not
you're
opposed to it.
close friends with Mr. Sampson, and Mr. Sampson is also the one who was fighting for his buddy George's. I have concerns that the council didn't get a chance to vote on your appointment, and I'm concerned that you're a little too close to the issue, having had personal friendships with people associated with this action, to properly represent the interests of the citizens. I mean, the council spent all this time talking about picking an attorney to register a legal opinion. That's all usurped now by having someone associated with the individuals at play be appointed. I quite foul at that, I'm sorry.
No, so I think, again, just from my own perspective, my friendships, I guess, with anybody on the council have all just been born of my relationship here of the city.
But they
And
still
so, sure, I've now done enough work now on Hendrickson to where, Ms. Phillips and I have somewhat of a relationship. I wouldn't say that I have any type, I've never been to Mr. Sampson's house. We've never had any additional conversations. I've never sat there on any of this, and so.
I'm sorry, but I was at a hearing for his recall petition where he said he speaks to you on a regular basis. So I'm only going by comments that he
Nose is
made.
going to grow.
Okay, so I'll take the floor back, because
Thank
I'll ask
you.
these questions for all of us, because I
Thank you.
feel the same way, and no disrespect to you. Every
None-
time I've
none
seen
at
you,
all.
you've been great. I feel like this is a slap in the face to all of us all over again, and I know you're going to be like, whatever. It's not a whatever. The residents here count, the process here counts, and it seems like we can't get a simple answer for anything around here. And anytime anything does get done, it's a gotcha and a slam, and it's always against the residents of this community. And I personally am tired of having to put up with it. So in saying that, why was this decision made in this manner?
Yeah, I'll explain the portion of it.
No,
There is
explain
no-
all of it,
excuse me,
please. No, excuse me, but explain all of
There's
it.
in order, because council has deadlock on the attorney issue, I suggested to Mr. Cervello that he reach out to Mr. McGinnis to at least represent the city until council can formally appoint, so that we don't get defaulted on this lawsuit, so that Mr. Georges doesn't simply waltz in here on account of us not being able to respond because council is deadlocked on the issue of an attorney. That's all. Tomorrow, the next day, next meeting, at any point in time, you can select any attorney that you want before any decisions have been made on the case, and you can have your attorney of choice. But if you don't select an attorney now, because of the timeline, you'll be defaulted. The city
Well,
will be defaulted.
So that was really great of you to share that information with us tonight after you made decisions, and you didn't
There's
bother
no
to share that
decision. We just got
information
this
with us.
information.
When did
There's
you
no-
get it? When did you get it?
When did you get this? Oh.
Yesterday.
Okay, yesterday to today, you had time to do something because clearly you did something.
We did
You
something.
can't do a phone call or an email or a text to this body to say, this is what we're getting ready to do. Guess what? You're not involved in the process again. Now, if we're not supposed to be involved in the process, say so. But this
You
council,
are.
no,
This-
I'm not
this
finished
is-
yet.
yeah.
This body is the body, right? You serve us.
Indeed.
And it doesn't seem like it. And I'll say that for all of us. It doesn't seem like it.
You don't have to hire Mr. McGinnis.
You already did.
No, we haven't. You haven't paid a penny towards him. He's done everything that he's done so far out of the goodness of his heart and just to ensure that the city doesn't get defaulted on. That's all.
And I'd also just like to say again, just out of everything with this, I've done additional work, legal work for this city, where I've not billed this city a penny for what I've done.
It's not
And
about
so,
the funds.
no, but I take offense to any accusation that somehow. Sure, and I understand that, but I just want everybody to know that I take offense at any accusation that would challenge my ethics or my commitment to not just my profession, but to this city. I pay my
Mr.
taxes,
McGinnis?
I am here. No, I just like to finish my point, because again, this discussion is going on through everybody, and I've got foul play called against me personally. And I'd like to just be able to point out the fact that, again, I take offense. If this city does not want me to volunteer my time or put in any time towards the betterment or the advancement of this city, I will gladly step down. I will gladly also put my house for sale and move out of this city and not pay another penny towards taxes. When I sit here and I live here and I pay my dues, I do what I can. I do not have children, yet I want to support our schools. I want to do everything we can. So everything I do right now is tied to the betterment of this city. So I do take offense if people are going to sit there and question any type of motives in any way that would challenge me. Because I will tell you, I can make far more money not spending my time spinning wheels for this city.
Well, as a resident of this community, I would assume that you would feel a little bit the way many of us feel
I
in this
understand.
process. And that's it. And I know nothing about you except you've always been a gentleman when I've
I've
seen you in
tried.
meetings, okay? And I appreciate that. I had cast no aspersions on you at all. You're kind of in the middle of this thing. And this is just an example of people who have no respect for other people that exist in this system. So, the word's already been done, because apparently this council doesn't have any authority for anything. This is the city attorney
Ma'am,
and
this
city
is-
manager
this
show.
is
So
your decision
you
to
guys
make.
You didn't give
This
us an
is your-
opportunity to make a decision. You made a decision, you brought a person here, and you said, this is what he's going to be doing. We asked him to do this.
We need to, again, I requested that the city manager, pursuant to his authority under the charter, to be able to trigger that initial request on a pro bono basis so that we don't get defaulted on. If you don't want Kevin McGinnis to represent you, he can walk away, as he just indicated. And the time is going to elapse. We were waiting for this decision, for this determination. You can cry foul, you can call it whatever you want, but this is the reality of it. So this gentleman representing the city in this interim period, you don't have to hire him. He doesn't need your business. He doesn't need this.
We always hear that, these attorneys don't need our business.
He
It's
doesn't
really
need your
quite
business, ma'am. I
disrespectful.
understand that. You can make the
Not you,
determination.
didn't
This
say
body
that.
can make a
Says it all the time.
determination. Can make a determination to hire whomever it chooses. It doesn't have to be Kevin. It doesn't have to be anybody. But you need somebody to be able to make that call that he made that was critical, to get some additional time to be able to either him to respond if you choose to hire him. If you don't choose to hire him, perfectly fine. Whomever you hire, they will have the time to be able to file an answer.
Great, so you said several times, you need to, you need to, you need to. That would be us.
Correct.
Give us the opportunity to do what we
Have at it,
can do.
ma'am.
It's kind of late. You've already done it for us.
So the conversation I had with Mr. McGinnis today about this topic, and then he said, I'm going to be there tonight on that other issue, and he said he would make a phone call to at least get it started so we are not unrepresented in the case. At this point, you can bring forth attorneys and vote and try to bring someone else in. There was nothing more than me not sitting on the fact that we were in a lawsuit, and through advice of the city attorney, reached out to Mr. McGinnis, who made the phone call and extended that. There was nothing more. There's no hidden agenda to it other than that.
There's been no signed
There was a
retainer. I've
conversation
not
this
billed a minute
morning.
of my time yet on this matter. So it was literally just received a phone call, and to be able, as a professional courtesy, based on my reputation in the community and amongst other attorneys in the community, based on all of my hard work, I called to be able to make sure that we had enough time so that we would not get defaulted as a city. And so as of now, however the council wants to proceed, I'm perfectly fine with. And I apologize if I sound combative in any kind of way. It's just, there's certain things that I take very personally, and my own ethics is something that I take very, very personally.
And you should.
And so whether I'm best friends with every single person here, I would love to be best friends with every single person in the city of Clawson. I mean, that would be perfect for me. I would love to be able to have a barbecue and have every single person over at my house. But that's still not going to affect the way I do my job or represent the city or act in my own way with my own integrity.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Chief Sarvello, do you have anything else for your reports?
Where do we stand on that? Just so I know.
Yeah,
I mean, if we're going to bring city attorneys forward and then a vote, and, I mean, I was covering us as far as that's concerned. So I need to know where we stand on that, and I have council's authority for him to continue to move on that and make his response? Or are you going in another direction, just so we can plan accordingly?
Did you not prove that you don't need council's authority to move on this behalf? Was that not the whole idea of this, that you didn't need, and I don't mean you personally, I'm assuming you were given great advice to act in this manner? So if it's, any comments from my fellow council members? I'm sure you're all fine with whatever, but Councilmember Anderson, you're watching from afar. Can I have any comments from you?
Yes. I think it's unfortunate that in the recent environment we're in, there's a lot of divisiveness, and I think a lot of people are questioning a lot of people's motives. I hope we can get beyond that. I guess, Scott and Rennis, I appreciate your efforts. You had to take some kind of action. Perhaps, I guess, the council might view it as unilateral in order to secure some representation. I guess if I can go backwards for a second, Scott, why did MMRNA deny our claim for representation?
I'll scan and send everyone their response. Coverage is not provided for any demand notice claim or lawsuit alleging bodily injury, property injury, personal injury, or other subjects. They have a whole section of exclusions. They just ended with that they're not going to be able to cover it, and I will send that.
Well, I know insurance companies make their money collecting premiums, not paying claims. I guess I would look at that and wonder, what do they cover? I guess that's water under the bridge now. So I understand you had to secure Mr. McGinnis's services just to keep the lawsuit moving forward. It's unfortunate Mr. McGinnis, his objectivity has been challenged. Mr. McGinnis, I don't know you personally, but I'm sorry that that's how things have shaken out here. So as far as proceeding, I mean, Mr. McGinnis, I think you've been working pro bono up till now? Is that
So
correct?
far, it's just been a phone call today on this topic.
And this beautiful meeting that was painful on every
Sorry,
level.
but yes, that's correct. So far, it's just been a phone call, so I've not billed the city at all for this matter.
Okay, well, we have to have representation for this, so what would be, if we don't contract Mr. McGinnis, what would be the timeline for procuring other counsel to represent us?
Well, we run into that timeline of a response then. I know, based on the conversation he had with, opposing counsel today, they gave him, unlimited time, right? A week or whatever the case may be to respond within that time frame. So if you bounce Mr. McGinnis, then you're scrambling to get an attorney who's going to, and that's your prerogative, but who's going to have to reach out to that opposing counsel. I mean, you go into default judgment, you lose a case, and it's over.
And they're not pro bono.
So.
Well, he shouldn't be working pro bono.
I'm sure he's doing the whole thing pro bono, but at
No,
this
but
point,
at this point-
in order
Yeah.
to secure it, I mean, if he is, congratulations. But I mean, at this point,
Mr. McGinnis, how
we
much do you love
secured
the city?
just some representation. If you want to go another route, that's fine, but any case in the court, basically, when MMRMA says we're not covering, we're unrepresented at that moment.
So exactly whom are you representing if you are retained for this?
Who am I representing? I'm representing the city of Clawson, the full citizens, as well as the city council, as the lawsuit was filed against not just the city of Clawson, but against the city council as a whole as well.
So what's the goal? What would your goal as our attorney be?
The goal is my goal in any lawsuit that I'm defending is to win, which is to defeat the claims that he's brought forward so that we can move forward as a city and be successful and move how we want to go forward in our process. Now, like I said, when we talk about, and we can talk about this in closed session about counterclaims or whatever else we might want to do, that's a separate discussion. But all in all, my number one goal is to get his lawsuit dismissed.
Thank you. I needed to hear that because I don't have confidence in a lot of things. So I I appreciate you. I appreciate your coming here and standing before us. I'm sorry you took a hit.
That's okay.
It's not, I mean, that's not what anyone's here for, right? We are all just so impassioned about the process and about the things that have gone wrong. And had this been handled a little differently, then we wouldn't have had these conversations in the first place. Just sidestepping the importance of sharing information with council is not cool. And I think, we're just getting weary of it, to be honest. And I don't think it was done intentionally to cause problems for anything, but information is conveyed when it's important for people to convey information. When it's important for them not to, they don't. And I don't think that's fair. I think we should have the same standards all the way around. So I'm just going to say that I'm fine with you serving in this capacity. I have confidence that you would serve us based on what you just stated. I personally am okay with it, even though clearly I don't have an opinion because the opinion was made for me. So if anyone else has anything else, otherwise we will move on.
Need a motion?
Do we need a motion? We don't need a motion. They already did it.
I think it makes sense to have a motion, ma'am.
We just started coverage. I'd take a motion to have him represent.
I make a motion, we have Mr. McGinnis represent us, I think.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything that was said, we're sorry.
Thank you.
Chief Sorella, we're still on you, I think.
I just wanted to report that we had a department head capital improvement plan meeting today with all department heads and the planning commission, and things went extremely well. It was about an hour and a half of presentations, and have the department heads working towards setting up a 6-year capital improvement plan. Things are moving along very well. All the department heads are jumping in with both feet on it and just trying to keep it moving and get things set for the parameters for the future. So I wanted to thank all department heads for participating and being a part of it and willing participants. Today was a good meeting.
Is there anything specific that you can report out from that?
So we will probably be in February where they're going to put everything together. Right now was basic presentations, right? What's the wish list for each department over the next few years? Those are going to be broken down. We're going to have meetings to prioritize things, right? What needs this year, in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and those are going to be ranked. We did have the liaison from the Planning Commission, Sam Fitzer, attend as well. I got an email from him thanking Jill and I for handling the meeting, and he appreciated all the input from all the department heads. He enjoyed being there today. So, I mean, it was all in all, it was a good networking and good teamwork by all. So I wanted to thank all the department heads for jumping in and participating with that.
All right, I share my appreciation for that taking place. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a positive move today. That wraps it up for me.
Thank you. City Attorney report.
Nothing additional, thank you, that was great.
And any City Council comments? Councilmember Anderson, do you have any closing comments for us this evening?
No, I do not.
Okay, how about you, Councilmember Shepherd?
Is follow-up on the meeting that we had on November 16th with the Yo status. So I heard a little bit about that they're going to be wrapping up next week.
Yes, so as what was presented back on the 16th, they said, they asked Kelly to file an extension. They said there's a good chance the extension is going to be denied, in which it was. They said by the time the denial comes and that they complete their end of it, and then Kelly completes ours and gets everything submitted to be well within a time frame. So there was a denial. We received a letter. It's actually dated today, and it says that the city must submit the audit within 30 days from today's date in order to stay in compliance and not have any discipline or loss of actions.
What did the 2 December ones?
Those are the denial letters. Those are the letters that the auditor said we would be getting.
You just quoted the one today, but you had 2 more before that.
I said that. I said we were denied.
3 times.
No, we weren't denied. This isn't a denial
That was
letter
Peter.
today.
Denied 3 times.
Today's letter is based on those denials.
This 29 says, "I regret to inform you." And this says, "regret to inform you." And this one pretty much is kind of like, hey, It's a bigger letter, the one today. So. But anyway, my only question is, how come we didn't get a copy of it? It was December. We got it in December, and we've had 2 meetings, and we haven't seen a denial.
I didn't know about those letters. And I got this one today off the website. But based on this, we have 30 days from today's date to complete the whole process, and we will not lose any, funding or
Revenue sharing?
Revenue sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what this letter
Well,
states.
and for the
that
record, that
I got today.
was the same information that was shared by Yo and Yo when they started the process. They said that we would most likely be running behind and we would receive information such as this, so it's not really a surprise, right? And it's something that can be fixed, so that's the good news.
Yeah, they laid it out there. They said that it's probably going to be denial. And
Yeah.
obviously,
Based on
because of
time.
their history and.
And again, so the follow-up is that the expectation from them is that, is that a commitment from them that they'll have something to us next week?
So the finance director reached out to Yo today, and they said it will be completed no later than the end of next week. So we're hoping earlier, then Kelly can submit and complete our end of it.
Okay.
We'll be well within the 30 days and in full compliance.
Okay, and then 30 days from today is
From
when we
today,
have to-
from today's letter, correct.
Did they indicate that there's anything further that needs to be followed up from their commitment to have it completed next week?
No, she works with them every day to get them the paperwork. And they said things are coming together, and they're hoping no later than the end of next week. So
Okay.
that's all I have on that.
I'm just concerned about any, potential thing to jeopardize that 30-day timeframe. So is there a way to have them present what their status is, or Kelly have her present that to us so that we know where we are with that in case there is anything that comes up between now and the 30 days?
Well, she makes contact with them every day for the concerns. So when it is wrapped up, I think we will have the full audit presentation the second meeting in February. You get the full presentation on the completion from Yo.
So that'll be the 14th?
First 14th. Yeah, I think it is the second.
Okay, and today is
Second.
the 18th. So we have 4 days after the presentation that there's nothing that's at risk, right?
Well, it'll be over by then.
That's what I'm saying, all right? So
Yeah.
that we'll know in case it's something, we'll have, if in case something does happen, we'll need something before that, right? Not to say that we will, right? Likelihood is probably it won't, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that we understand where we are in the time frame, how critical it is, what we're expecting from Yo and Yo, that just in case, what are we going to do at that point in time?
I'll give you an update in the Friday report this week, and if they complete it next week, then it's, over, no complications. I see what you're saying, though.
When I hear that risk of revenue sharing, that's.
Well, it's a major concern, of course. Yeah, no doubt about it. I'll give you an update Friday, just hopefully ease your mind a little bit.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Councilmember Sampson? I didn't ask you. Do you have any comments for us this evening? You, the one, yeah, sorry.
I didn't know if you're looking at the.
You're looking right at me.
No, only the meeting that I had with Senator Peters went very well. I did strongly advocated for federal dollars to help supplement the cost of elections. It's all tax money, but if it doesn't come out of our general fund, that's always a good thing. So that went well. Otherwise, that's all I had.
Great, well, thanks for representing us.
The project that the city manager talked about today was a really great meeting. I think everyone had really good ideas and things got shifted around. It was really good. So
Just like
I was
this
happy
one.
with
This
it.
was a really great meeting, right, people? Let's hear it. Come on. Okay, so
Thank you.
I want to thank you. I want to remind everyone that tomorrow and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. we will be back here. We will be conducting some city manager interviews. So if you're free and you want to get a glimpse of people who are interested in coming to serve in this capacity, come on over. We'd like your input if you can watch and then maybe give us notes or whatever. We'd appreciate that. This is an active process. The best part about this community and being in government is when people work together, whether we agree or not. It's just definitely the part that makes us move forward. So thank you all for showing up. Thank you for sharing your concerns, and thank you all for serving here. And I would just like to say that those of us who serve in this capacity are not compensated greatly for money. Our time isn't recouped to us. This is definitely a labor of love. We're doing it out of the generosity of our hearts or spirits, whatever, to give back to our communities. And we try and show, I would say I try and show respect to the people whom hold the keys to this community, who have the knowledge and the experience and should be working with us. And I would just ask the same in return. I can only do what I can do if I have the information available to me to do my best job. And I rely on the people in this community, the people who serve this community, who are compensated to lead this community, to share with me those things that should be shared with me. And I am just asking publicly that that happen moving forward. And with that, I will wish everyone a very good night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
How about we make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah, well, I think we'd want to leave with or without a motion.
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
Councilmember Sampson?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 9 o'clock.